Have you ever felt invisible as a child? That quiet ache of watching other kids laugh and play together while you stood on the sidelines, hoping someone would notice you, hoping someone would care enough to include you. If you are above 50, that feeling may still echo in your life today, shaping the way you connect with others, how you express yourself, and even how you value your own presence. Childhood loneliness is not just a memory. It leaves a lasting imprint on our adult minds, habits, and relationships. Many adults over 50 reflect on their lives and suddenly recognize patterns that have persisted for decades. The reluctance to ask for help, the hesitation to open up, the constant worry of being overlooked or dismissed. These patterns did not start yesterday. They started in those moments of quiet isolation when you were a child, yearning for acknowledgement, for attention, for a simple gesture that said, "You matter." The experience of growing up lonely can shape how seniors approach relationships now. It can make you hyper-independent, cautious about forming new friendships, or hesitant to trust even those closest to you. It can create invisible walls around your emotions, walls you built long ago to protect yourself from disappointment, from rejection, from the invisible pain of being overlooked. Even decades later, these invisible scars influence daily choices. Avoiding social gatherings even when you crave connection, overthinking interactions with family, or fearing intimacy and closeness. This is not weakness. It is the mind trying to survive and protect itself, carrying lessons from childhood into the complex realities of adult life above 50. In this video, we will explore how childhood loneliness continues to influence seniors today, why it affects emotional and social patterns, and what can be done to gently recognize and heal these lingering effects. We will dive into psychological theories that explain these patterns, look at real-life examples of adults above 50 experiencing these echoes, and discuss strategies to reclaim emotional freedom and connection. Understanding how your early experiences shaped your mind is not about blaming your past. It is about giving yourself the awareness and tools to reshape your present. Childhood loneliness is not something to ignore or dismiss. It is a story written into your mind, waiting to be understood, accepted, and transformed. By the end of this video, you will begin to see yourself not as a prisoner of your past, but as someone with the power to nurture relationships, restore emotional balance, and rediscover connection, even decades after those early lonely moments. Childhood loneliness does not happen by accident. It emerges from a mix of environmental, familial, and psychological factors that often leave lasting impressions well into adulthood. For seniors above 50, reflecting on early life can reveal patterns that quietly shaped decades of thought, emotion, and behavior. Some grew up in homes where affection was scarce, where parents were distant, emotionally unavailable, or overwhelmed with their own struggles. Others experienced overly strict households, where mistakes were punished rather than guided, and where children learned quickly that expressing needs could be met with disapproval. Even subtle neglect, small moments of being overlooked, unheard, or dismissed, can leave deep imprints on a child's developing mind, and those imprints often travel silently into later life. Psychologists call this emotional neglect, and it is one of the most common causes of lifelong loneliness. Children who experience emotional neglect learn to hide their feelings, suppress vulnerability, and internalize a sense of invisibility. As adults above 50, they may not even realize how much of their hesitation to connect, their discomfort with intimacy, or their hyper-independence traces back to those formative years. Other contributors include social isolation, such as moving frequently, being the only child, or struggling to fit in at school. Even naturally shy or anxious children can experience loneliness intensely, and these traits, if unaddressed, continue to influence adult social interactions decades later. Attachment theory, first proposed by John Bowlby, helps explain this phenomenon. Bowlby observed that early bonds with caregivers form the foundation for how humans relate to others throughout life. Secure attachments foster trust, self-worth, and emotional resilience, while insecure or avoidant attachments can result in difficulty trusting others, fear of rejection, and a tendency to isolate oneself emotionally. For seniors above 50, understanding attachment patterns can illuminate why old habits persist, why forming new friendships feels intimidating, why expressing feelings in relationships may trigger discomfort, or why loneliness can feel familiar, even when surrounded by others. Seniors above 50 may also notice patterns of over-responsibility or people-pleasing, born from childhood environments where acceptance was conditional. Perhaps as children, they learned that love and attention came only when they followed rules perfectly, helped others, or suppressed their own needs. Now, decades later, these behaviors often appear as hyper-independence, reluctance to ask for help, or chronic self-criticism. Understanding these early patterns is not about blame, it is about awareness. Recognizing how childhood experiences continue to influence adult behavior is the first step toward reshaping relationships, emotional habits, and the way seniors above 50 experience connection, intimacy, and self-worth. By exploring these causes and early patterns, seniors can begin to connect the dots between past and present, seeing how long-standing habits developed and why certain situations trigger familiar feelings of invisibility or loneliness. Awareness is the bridge between understanding and transformation, and for adults above 50, this awareness can be both illuminating and deeply liberating, opening the door to healthier emotional patterns and stronger connections in the present. Childhood loneliness does not stay in the past. It quietly shapes patterns, behaviors, and emotional responses long into adulthood. For seniors above 50, the echoes of being unseen, unheard, or emotionally neglected can manifest in multiple areas of life: relationships, self-perception, and daily routines. Many adults notice that even after decades of experience, they hesitate to trust others fully, struggle to ask for help, or find themselves overcompensating in relationships to avoid rejection. The patterns that once protected a lonely child can become obstacles for an adult seeking connection, peace, and emotional fulfillment. Attachment theory provides a framework to understand this. Adults who experienced insecure attachment as children often carry residual fear of abandonment or rejection. This can lead to avoidant behaviors, such as keeping loved ones at a distance, hiding emotions, or resisting intimacy, even when they deeply desire closeness. Conversely, some seniors may develop anxious attachment, constantly seeking validation or fearing that others will leave them, creating cycles of worry, over-apologizing, or over-investing in relationships to feel safe. These attachment patterns, developed decades ago, remain active long after the original childhood context has faded. Another common consequence is hyper-independence. Many seniors over 50 grew up learning that relying on others was risky, unsafe, or unhelpful. As adults, they may insist on doing everything alone, avoiding asking for support even when they need it, and feeling burdened by their own self-imposed responsibilities. This hyper-independence can protect them from rejection, but it also limits opportunities for connection, collaboration, and emotional support. The impact of childhood loneliness is not only emotional, but also behavioral. Some adults avoid social gatherings, fearing that interactions will highlight feelings of inadequacy or invisibility. Others struggle with people-pleasing tendencies, suppressing their own needs to gain acceptance, a habit formed when affection or recognition was conditional in childhood. For seniors above 50, these behaviors can contribute to ongoing feelings of isolation, anxiety in relationships, and difficulty forming new meaningful connections. Real-life examples help illustrate this. Consider a senior who avoids family gatherings despite wanting to attend. The root may be a childhood habit of feeling ignored or overshadowed by siblings, which now translates into discomfort in group settings. Or a senior who constantly overprepares and overperforms at work or in social settings, perhaps subconsciously attempting to earn approval they lacked as a child. Even subtle behaviors like reluctance to express opinions or discomfort with affection can trace directly to those early experiences. Recognizing these patterns is essential for adults above 50. By understanding how childhood loneliness shaped behaviors, seniors can begin to notice the triggers, understand their origins, and take conscious steps toward change. Awareness opens the door to transformation, allowing seniors to build more secure attachments, cultivate authentic relationships, and embrace emotional habits that support connection, self-worth, and peace. Childhood loneliness may have left its mark, but with insight and intention, it does not have to define the rest of life. For seniors above 50, the experiences of childhood loneliness continue to shape emotional life and social interactions in profound ways. Many adults find that even decades later, feelings of invisibility or neglect linger, subtly influencing relationships with family, friends, and colleagues. Those early experiences often create a heightened sensitivity to rejection, a tendency to withdraw in social situations, or a chronic sense of being misunderstood. The fear of repeating childhood patterns can cause seniors to avoid intimacy, isolate themselves, or hesitate to engage in meaningful conversations, even when they deeply crave connection. Research consistently shows that loneliness in childhood is a predictor of adult emotional challenges, including depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. For adults above 50, these effects can be compounded by life transitions, retirement, children leaving home, health changes, or the loss of peers, which may intensify feelings of isolation. Seniors who carry these patterns may notice a recurring internal dialogue of self-doubt, questioning their worth, or replaying old memories of neglect and invisibility. These cognitive patterns are not just thoughts. They shape daily behavior, influencing decisions about relationships, social engagement, and emotional expression. Socially, seniors who grew up lonely may struggle to trust others, fearing that revealing vulnerability could lead to rejection or ridicule. They may maintain polite but distant relationships, avoid forming deep friendships, or hesitate to show emotions openly. Some adults find themselves repeating childhood habits, people-pleasing, seeking validation, or suppressing their true desires to ensure acceptance. Others may experience difficulty connecting with younger generations, feeling misunderstood or out of sync, which can create additional frustration or a sense of being disconnected from the world around them. Cognitively, long-term loneliness can subtly affect attention, memory, and emotional processing. Studies suggest that chronic social isolation may increase stress responses in the brain, leading to hypervigilance or heightened sensitivity to perceived slights. Seniors above 50 may notice that old patterns of overthinking, replaying past interactions, or anticipating rejection are more pronounced during social gatherings or family events. These mental habits, formed in response to childhood loneliness, can persist unless consciously recognized and addressed. Real-life examples make these effects tangible. A senior may avoid attending a community event despite wanting companionship, because the fear of being overlooked mirrors feelings from childhood. Another may hesitate to express love or gratitude to family members, subconsciously protecting themselves from disappointment. Even seemingly small choices, preferring solitude over joining friends for coffee, keeping opinions private in group settings, or declining invitations, often trace back to early experiences of invisibility and neglect. Understanding these emotional and social impacts is crucial for seniors above 50, recognizing that these patterns are the echoes of childhood loneliness, not flaws in character or failures of adulthood, empowers individuals to approach life with greater awareness, compassion, and intentionality. By observing how past experiences influence present behaviors, seniors can begin to make conscious choices that foster connection, reduce isolation, and support emotional well-being in the years beyond 50. Understanding how childhood loneliness has shaped your adult life is only the first step. For seniors above 50, the next step is cultivating awareness and implementing practical strategies to address the emotional and social patterns that linger. Awareness begins with recognizing the ways your past influences your present, the subtle habits of withdrawing, overthinking, avoiding intimacy, or overcompensating to earn approval. By observing these patterns without judgment, you can begin to respond differently, consciously choosing actions that support connection, self-worth, and emotional balance. One of the most effective approaches is mindfulness and emotional reflection. Seniors above 50 can benefit from simple daily practices, sitting quietly for a few minutes, noticing thoughts and feelings that arise, and labeling them without criticism. For example, if a thought like, "I'm going to be ignored again," surfaces, acknowledging it as a lingering echo from childhood can reduce its power over your actions. Journaling is another valuable tool. Writing about childhood memories, current emotional responses, and social interactions can help you identify patterns and uncover triggers, making it easier to respond intentionally rather than react automatically. Cognitive reframing is a powerful psychological technique for adults above 50. It involves identifying negative automatic thoughts, such as fears of being overlooked or unworthy, and consciously reshaping them into balanced, realistic perspectives. For instance, changing "if I speak up" people will judge me, into, I have valuable experiences to share, and my voice matters, gradually retrains the mind to respond with confidence rather than avoidance. Building or rebuilding social connections is equally important. For seniors above 50, this can start small. Reconnecting with an old friend, joining a community group, attending a class, or volunteering. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself, but to create safe, consistent opportunities for meaningful interaction. Even small successes, sharing a thought, reaching out to a family member or participating in a group activity, can reinforce the sense of visibility and belonging that may have been missing in childhood. Self-compassion is another crucial strategy. Many adults over 50 carry the burden of self-criticism, believing they should have overcome their loneliness long ago. Understanding that these patterns were adaptive responses in childhood allows seniors to approach themselves with kindness rather than blame. Simple affirmations, gentle reminders, and celebrating small victories in connection or emotional awareness can strengthen resilience and encourage continued growth. Finally, seeking professional support, such as therapy or support groups tailored for adults over 50, can accelerate healing. Guided exploration with a trained professional helps uncover deep-seated patterns, provides structured tools for coping, and creates a safe environment for practicing vulnerability and trust. Seniors above 50 who engage in these practices often experience improved emotional regulation, healthier relationships, and a renewed sense of agency over their lives. By integrating awareness, reflection, mindfulness, social reconnection, cognitive reframing, self-compassion, and professional guidance, seniors above 50 can begin to reclaim the parts of themselves shaped by childhood loneliness. These strategies do not erase the past but allow individuals to live fully, form meaningful connections, and approach life with a sense of peace and empowerment that may have once felt out of reach. Childhood loneliness may have shaped your thoughts, habits, and relationships, but it does not define the rest of your life. For seniors above 50, understanding the lingering effects of early isolation is not about blaming the past. It is about reclaiming your present and creating a future filled with connection, peace, and self-acceptance. The echoes of loneliness can still appear in subtle ways: hesitation to open up, fear of rejection, or the instinct to withdraw. Recognizing these moments is the first step toward transformation. Awareness allows you to pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with your values and desires rather than automatic childhood patterns. Hope emerges when you realize that growth is always possible, no matter your age. Seniors above 50 have decades of experience, wisdom, and resilience to draw upon. You can begin to form authentic relationships, express your emotions openly, and engage with life in ways that feel meaningful and fulfilling. Emotional patterns rooted in childhood can be reshaped through reflection, mindfulness, and conscious effort. By gently confronting old fears, practicing self-compassion, and taking small steps toward connection, you can break cycles that have persisted for decades. Life after 50 is not a limitation. It is an opportunity. It is a time to rebuild trust in yourself and others, to discover joy in small moments, and to embrace your own worth without relying on external validation. Childhood loneliness may have taught lessons about caution and self-protection, but it cannot take away your capacity for love, connection, and emotional freedom now. Seniors above 50 who embrace this understanding often experience renewed energy in relationships, a deeper appreciation for life, and a strengthened sense of self. You are not defined by the invisibility of your early years. You are defined by the courage it takes to recognize those patterns, the strength to address them, and the wisdom to embrace connection and meaning in the present. By taking even small steps, sharing your thoughts, reaching out to others, practicing self-compassion, you open the door to a life rich with understanding, belonging, and emotional resilience. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel to explore more insights into the psychology of adults above 50. And join a community committed to understanding the mind, nurturing emotional well-being, and embracing life fully. Your past shaped you, but it does not limit your future. Healing, growth, and meaningful connection are possible at any age, and the journey toward them can start today.